If you would like to check out all of my sounds, samples, and presets, all links are in the bio. Imagine creating a high-energy song just like Vluarr. Well, today we'll be taking a deep dive into techniques inspired directly by Vluarr himself. In the next few minutes, you'll not only learn about Vluarr's sound design, mixing, and melodic techniques, but also discover how to apply them into your own music. And you might be thinking right now, why would I want to learn Vluarr's techniques? I don't want to sound like somebody else. I want to have my own sound. This will simply expand your music production toolkit and incorporate these directly into your own music that still maintains your own unique style and creativity. And I won't be able to touch on every single detail in this video, which is why I left the project file and a mini sample pack of sounds from this file down below for free. All right, let's just skip over some of the BS real quick. 128 BPM, some drums, percussion, and various effects. Alright, so let's dive into some of Vluarr's sound design techniques. We'll need a sub bass, mid bass, lead, and a texture layer to glue everything together. For a Vluarr type of lead, they're actually pretty simple. They're always changing, they're evolving in some type of way. Let's kick things off with the default saw wave. Toss in a bit of noise for texture, and then run that saw wave oscillator A through the default filter. And we'll leave the cutoff and all of these settings exactly where they're at. Over in the effects, let's mix in some light distortion, add some OTT, and roll off a bit of that high noise. Now we can add some pitch character to it. First, let's do some vibrato. Make the shape of LFO1 into a sine wave. Let's make the speed of it to a 16th note, and then drag that to the fine tune of oscillator A and dial it back a little bit. And then for some dirty randomness, right-click that same fine-tune, select Chaos 1. The Chaos in Serum is pretty similar to the randomized feature inside of Vital, and then head over to the Global tab to adjust the speed of the Chaos. And we're going to make it a bit faster so it's a little dirty. And then head over to the Matrix, and here we're going to put the amounts of the vibrato and Chaos to 100%. And this would sound awful, so we'll put a macro on each of these, and now you can mix in how much you want. It's a lot easier this way. Or you can automate these through your song, which is what I love to do. Now we can make this come to life by adding some external distortion. And this is where you can get creative and add different distortion plugins, try out different distortions within the same plugin to give that lead its unique quality. And cut out all that disgusting low end from the distortion. So the bass sound is going to have this airy, thin, almost like it's coming out of a speaker type of quality. So inside of Serum, let's load up a saw wave from the basic shapes. Next, we'll put on some noise. We'll use the J106 and then adjust the pitch and volume. Now in the filter section, to get that thin quality, we're going to use a band reject filter. And this will temporarily take out the beef of the sound, but we're going to bring some of that back in the effects. Adjust the cutoff to about 630. We can put that resonance to 0, and we'll put the width of that band to about 65. And enable key tracking so the filter stays consistent no matter what note you play. In the effects, we can put on some sine full distortion to about 13%, some multi-band compression, and you can actually adjust the mid and high band, which really acts as an EQ, and you can adjust this to your liking. And finally, an EQ to cut the sub-frequencies, because we'll add a separate one, and boost around 770 Hertz. I know it's exact, but using an EQ like this is going to shape the overall tone of the sound, and it brings back some of those mids that we took away earlier. And I recommend that you adjust these for what you like because you can get so many different versions just by tweaking some of these. Now for the sub bass of this song, I kept it pretty simple. I just use a clean sine wave. But if we take a look inside of his song with Martin Garrix's Reboot, you're going to be able to see some of the characteristics of the actual sub. But I remade the sub from Reboot in this Black Label expansion preset, so it has those similar qualities. And then a clean sine wave is just going to be that one peak, without any more of that harmonic information. So now we can add a texture layer to glue all that together. And this is probably the most important layer in terms of making it sound good in the mix. So I like to use the noise oscillator from 3X. We can clean up that low end from the noise. So you can by all means keep it just like that on the lead, and I think it'll sound good if you leave it clean like that. But I personally love to add this ring mod plugin from Kilohertz. It's so good. And the biggest thing here is to just mess with the frequency speed. And you can just dial this in for whatever you're looking for. So now take a listen. If I play it with the bass, it sounds like it's with the bass. But if I play it with the lead, it sounds like the noise is just on the lead. And here's the entire thing without. It's just that glue, and I love this. Now, Vluarr's songwriting tends to be on the dark side, and a great way to get that yourself is by using the 2 chord. For example, if we have a simple progression where the 4th chord is a major 1, it sounds pretty normal. But if we switch that 4th chord to the minor 2, it gives it a darker edge. And here's a few examples of his songs that use that minor 2 chord. And he also uses this 3 to 4 chord transition pretty frequently. And writing melodies that match these chords can also be pretty simple. And I love to use this very non-scientific term called the ACM, the accidental chord melody. So when I was recreating a lot of Vluarr's compositions, the relationship between the bass line progression and the melody were harmonically consistent, which basically means the top melody uses a lot of the notes within the chord that's currently being played. So how can you begin to write these ACM melodies? It's really simple. Let's say you have a chord and it's minor. We'll go up 3 notes and then we'll put that up an octave. If the chord is major, we'll stretch it up a bit further and go up 4 notes. Now, if you just use these, it can start to feel vanilla, which is why you can add melody transitions to get you to the next chord. You can change up the rhythm. And add arps. I think when you combine simple melodies with cool sound design, it makes it a lot easier to listen to because the melody is going to be catchy and it's going to sound cool. Now, a lot of Vluarr's mixes have some really unique qualities to them. So if we take a look at a remix he did for Seth Hills, you can hear that there's not a lot of width on the lead, just like I talked about before. If we open up a free plugin called MSED and we mute the mono mid information so we're just left with the wide sides, notice that you can't really hear the lead that much. There's absolutely no width on that lead. Now you're going to hear a sound playing the lead, which is more of like a plucky type of sound. I'm pretty sure it's just a layer in that, but if we mute the sides in and out, you're going to be able to hear there's not really a big difference at all in the lead because the lead is dead center mono. So if we take a look at this song on a spectrum using Span free plugin, there's a couple of things that stick out to me. One is going to be how loud that sub is, and 2 is going to be how much this lead is poking through. And you don't have to think about this when you're making a song. This is more so things to just keep in mind. The lead is popping up the most right here. So the lead is pretty much the second loudest thing. First we have the sub bass, and then we have this lead. And then you can see this dip right here. This is why when I created that bass, we took out some of those low bass frequencies. This is what gives it this like thin type of sound, but it allows the sub to be huge, and then it also allows the lead to pop through as well. And a quick bonus round for adding that dark atmosphere. So while normal vocal chops are great, there's a trick to make them even cooler. Try reversing the vocal and then chopping it up. Add some drones, pads, and arps to create this tonal spaciousness in your breaks. And finally, for a dark, edgy touch in your drop, you can experiment with octaved arps.
You're playing for time.